Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Nobunagun, Episode 5. And in the beginning of this episode, Jack is told that he's going to return to the 2nd Platoon, and Shio gets told that she's going to go to the 2nd Platoon as well. And on the way there, she gets aroused by Jack. She gets aroused by a lot of people in this episode. For the first one is Jack. She has to tell her we get confirmation that she's aroused by both Jack and Asao because she has to tell herself, "No, but I have Asao," you know. So so she likes both of them, and the episode's mostly comedy actually. They get to see Gandhi and Newton, aka Jess Beckham. We learn all the guys their real names except for Galileo and John Hunter and V-Doc, but the people who we already knew, except for Galileo, we learned their real name. Oh, Robert Kappa. Who cares? The point is that as far as the 2nd Platoon go, we learned all their real names. Adam, blah blah blah. It's the only person whose name I'm actually going to use is Jess Beckham. That her and Shio. But yeah, Jess Beckham just goes up and kisses Jack the Ripper. That was funny. And Shio doesn't really know how to react. She's trying to convince herself that it's not that maybe she's doing it just as a greeting, but then she tries to convince herself that she doesn't actually care because she's trying to convince herself that she doesn't like Jack when she does. But then Jess ends up doing it to Shio too, and then she just doesn't even know what to think. She just stops thinking in general pretty much. And yeah, after that we get introduced to John Hunter and Eugene Francois V-Doc. Alright. I looked up John Hunter online. There are a lot of John Hunters, but I'm assuming the one that this guy is based off of is the surgeon from the 1700s. That makes total sense, so I'm just going to assume it's him. As far as V-Doc goes, he's the person he's based off of is a former criminal who he's pretty much responsible for creating the French police. He's also known as the father of modern criminology, and he is the person who had the first private detective agency. So he's a detective. When the middle of the episode comes and you see his little card there, it shows V-Doc, and then it shows the card next to him, and the card is a guy with was a detective guy with the magnifying glass or whatever held up to his eye, so you can tell he's like a detective type of guy. And V-Doc, while he's talking to John Hunter, it's clear that he's interested in the brain of the invasion objects. But after that, we switch over to Gandhi, who is trying to get Shio up to speed with the whole Dogu situation and the platoons and everything. It turns out that there are 3 cruiser strongholds, and each one has 2 platoons on it. But there's also a special duty cruiser as well, the Forster something or others, Clayton Forster. Yeah, so there are really 4 cruiser strongholds. I don't know if there are 2 platoons on the Clayton Forster as well. Gandhi wasn't really clear about that, but we know there are at least 6 platoons, at least. And whenever an invasion object is actually detected, whichever cruiser stronghold is closest to it, they will send down a platoon or 2 to go after it, and that's that. This is when we switch back to John Hunter and V-Doc, and Galileo shows up. Right, she gets food for John Hunter. She pretty much runs errands for him all the time, and she's not exactly a fan of that, but she kind of has to because she's like the noob. She's the newbie amongst the what are they called? The E-gene holders. Not anymore, but she was, and she also has a crush on V-Doc. As soon as V-Doc started talking to her, her tune changed like that, and he asked her if he could see the data that she observed from the Taiwan incident back when Shio transformed for the first time. 3-line volley. And after that, it's mostly comedy for the rest of the episode until a certain point, 5 or 6 minutes before the end. Gandhi is giving Shio a tour of the facilities and everything, and she and he starts hitting on her just to tease her, which is hilarious. One of the things he brought up during this scene is that when an E gene holder's personality, it tends to change due to the E gene, which we've seen before when Shio kind of gets taken over by Nobunaga. Not really, but we've seen her change because of Nobunaga's influence. Three-line volley last episode when she started dancing, it just jumped out the plane. So we've seen her get influenced by Nobunaga before. Okay, and after that we switch back to Vidocq again. We see him talking with the guys in HQ, the commander and everyone, and he mentions that John Hunter dissected the invasion object from Florida, and he discovered that there's a big opening in its brain. Okay, and Vidocq also looked at the video that Galileo took from Taiwan. The specifically when that one invasion object popped a balloon-like invasion object and it exploded. And when it explodes, you can see all these mini invasion objects spreading. So his theory is that these mini objects are like parasitic type invasion objects that live inside the brains of other invasion objects. What they'll do is they'll record the memories of their host, and whenever their host is killed, they'll jump into the sea. And then they'll be swallowed by animals or carried by animals and then just spread around the world like that. And then new objects end up being born with that information that the mini parasitic object has. Right? And that ends up being confirmed at the end of the episode because their mission is to capture one of those parasitic invasion objects, but I'll get to that later on. After this, Shio, she's in her room, but she leaves. She goes to do some research into that dance that she was doing because Gandhi was just talking to her about how people were influenced by their E genes. So she went to go and look it up, and she looked up that dance that she was doing. I forget, something with an A, Ashi Tori or something like that. Something with an A, but she ends up running into Jess. So that was pretty funny. She ended up running away before Jess could actually do something, and then running into Gandhi, who flirted with her some more just to embarrass her. But the base that they're on ends up getting a call from Clayton Forster about invasion objects. There are 6 of them, I think. One is this armored invasion object where AU weapons don't work, and the 5 others were gunboats. So they go to their stations, but before they get there, they end up running into each other and giving birth to more comedy. This was the funniest part of the episode, in my opinion. All right, Galileo and Shio end up meeting up, and Shio doesn't even recognize Galileo at first. Then when she does, she ends up referring to Galileo as an elementary schooler. All right, which Shio needs to watch more anime, because if she watched anime, she would know that little girls usually, like, they're just not. You can't just assume that they're elementary schoolers. Take Natsuki for example. Natsuki from Strike the Blood. She's clearly not a elementary schooler, right? You can't just make assumptions like that. But Galileo ends up trying to take advantage of the fact that she's no longer the newbie that Shio is. So she tries to get Shio to do things for her, which doesn't end up working. Jack and Gandhi end up showing up, and they refer to the fact that she is John Hunter's gopher. Then Jess shows up. She kisses Galileo. The entire scene was hilarious. I thought that was my favorite part of the episode. Then Vidocq ended up showing up, and Galileo was jealous because he was talking with Shio and complimenting her and stuff. But after that, we actually get to the serious portion of the episode. He's explaining the plan pretty much to them. The plan is for them to take care of the invasion object, the armored one. The 6th platoon let it escape, so their job is to take care of that, but they also want to get the brain cells of the parasitic invasion object, the mini invasion object. And the one who's going to get that sample is going to be Dai Zong. Now this dude, he's based off of a fictional character from one of the 4 great classical pieces in Chinese literature. I forgot what it was called, water something. But the guy's supposed to be, his nickname was the Magic Traveler. He could travel large distances very, very quickly using magic. Um, which we see some of that in this episode when he jumps off, he pushes off the place where he was with Galileo and gets to the invasion object relatively quickly. So we see that there. But yeah, he's the one who's supposed to be getting the mini object, while the others are going to take care of the invasion objects. Shia was going to take care of the armored one because they need a shooter. Pretty much, that's the only reason really they need a shooter. And the other three, Jack, Jess, Becca, Newton, because they're technically I don't consider them to be the same. They're really not. They're too different. I'm gonna call Newton when she's Newton, but never mind. Who cares? All right, it's her, Jack, and Gandhi. All right, but what ends up happening is that she was having some trouble, so Newton and Gandhi go over to help her while Jack takes care of the 5 gunboats. Shia ends up taking care of the armored invasion object once Gandhi and Newton show up to help her. Galileo had given her a pair of her goggles to Daizong so that the data she gets could be transferred to those goggles, and he would know which mini parasitic invasion object to go after. And yeah, that's that. 312, I think. 312 of them were scattered, or 200. It was in the hundreds. A bunch of them were of those mini parasitic objects were scattered. Daizong got the one they were looking for, and that's that. Yeah, then the rest of the episode was Vidocq discussing the results that his hypothesis was correct. I already talked about that, and yeah, that's really it. In the preview, we saw Geronimo and his team, so I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, that's it for the episode. And overall, I'll give this episode an 8.5 out of 10 because we got some progression, some story progression in terms of like the knowledge we know about the invasion objects. They're evolving rapidly. If they keep evolving, Vidocq says that himself. If they keep evolving this way, humanity's pretty much screwed. Pretty much. So yeah, we got information on that, so the story was progressed. Plus, we got a lot of good comedy. Personally, I laughed a ton when watching this episode. So yeah, I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Magi was delayed in Japan, so that's going to come out like tomorrow or something. Magi manga probably come out tomorrow too. So yeah, that's it for this review. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.